For those of us living in downstate Illinois, we thankfully have a wide range of airports to choose from when traveling. Of course, flying from these smaller airports might be more expensive than bigger cities like Chicago, but that's not always the case. In fact, airports like Peoria, where I'm flying from today, in many cases are comparable price-wise to airports like O'Hare, Midway, and Indianapolis. And while the total travel time might be larger from smaller airports, at least for me, the entire journey ends up being cheaper from them when you factor in variables like gas and parking. But is trading shorter drives, free parking, and hassle-free airport experiences a worthy trade-off for longer flying times and potentially risky connections? Well, ultimately that's up to you to decide, but these are questions that I was always thinking about during this trip. The first leg covered in this video is a quick jump from Peoria to Chicago on the United Express CRJ200. While the flight itself won't be anything to write home about, the experience of flying from smaller regional airports is always something special and one that I've always been very excited to share through my videos. So that was a ridiculously long intro, but with that said, finally, let's get to the airport and fly. Good afternoon from Peoria, where after a mostly painless drive through pounding rain and highway construction, I'm here at PIA. Relax, I said I'm here at PIA about 90 minutes before my flight. Now, aside from the shorter drives, another reason why we downstate Illinois folks still prefer airports like Peoria is the free parking. Peoria, Bloomington, Decatur, and Springfield still offer this, and even if you were to get a flight $100 cheaper from Chicago, they charge you minimum $15 to $18 a day just to park your car at Midway and O'Hare. So if you're gone for a week, that initial $100 of saving was wasted on paying the airport just to leave your car there. Now, given it is summertime, parking was atrocious this afternoon, but I ended up finding a spot eventually. PIA also offers a free shuttle between the parking lot and the terminal, so if you park far away, it saves you the walk. Now, having checked in online, we didn't have to spend much time landside, and we cleared pre-check in 2 minutes. The main terminal was pretty lively this time of day, with multiple flights from American, Allegiant, and United departing within the next few hours. Luckily, the terminal expansion with gates 12 and 14 wasn't serving any flights, and given we still had a while to wait, it was a no-brainer to chill here for a while and escape the otherwise hectic main terminal. The expansion also has some great views of the apron, and this was my first time seeing one of Allegiant's brand new Boeing 737 MAX 8 200s. This is basically the higher density version of a regular MAX 8, and as you can probably guess, the 200 refers to the fact that this aircraft can seat up to 200 passengers in a single class layout. Allegiant seats 190 passengers on this aircraft, and Ryanair over in Europe crams 197. You might have also noticed that this aircraft has an additional set of exit doors in the back, and again, this is due to the higher passenger capacity. Allegiant has 12 MAX 8 200s currently in service, with 14 more on order, and then 24 additional orders for the smaller MAX 7. Allegiant received its first MAX 8 200 in September 2024, which marked its first Boeing aircraft since retiring the 757s in 2017. Now, given the 737 MAX has better range compared to Allegiant's A320s, it makes me wonder if we could see the return of Allegiant flights between Las Vegas and Honolulu, a route once served by the Allegiant 757s. Though I feel that might be unlikely, and as of now, Allegiant currently flies these aircraft from its hubs in Orlando Sanford and St. Petersburg, with this aircraft heading off to Sanford. Now, unless you're flying a budget airline like Allegiant, most passengers flying from smaller airports are using the legacy airlines and connecting through their big hubs onto somewhere else. So there's always that sort of trade-off that while you can fly from a more convenient smaller airport, you do risk having a delayed first flight that can jeopardize your connection. That is unfortunately what happened to me today. I'm booked for a 1-hour connection in Chicago, but my inbound aircraft is an hour late because of maintenance issues. Now, these sort of things are annoying, but they're unexpected, and in case you do miss your connection as a result, the airline would accommodate you on alternate flight options. As it got closer to flight time, we headed back into the main terminal to wait by our gate and also get something to eat. Now, this video is not at all sponsored, but Peoria has quickly become one of my favorite airports to fly from, not just because of the convenience, but also because of how clean and modern it is. It's also exciting to see the airport grow, as just a few months earlier, United Express brought back daily nonstop service from Denver after many years of the route being suspended. It's a very exciting and also better alternative to Allegiant, who operate this route seasonally, and that too only a few times per week. United resuming Denver service was Peoria's first new legacy airline route after many years, the most recent one before being American Eagle service to Charlotte that now operates twice a day. And even though the Charlotte hub has always been kind of a mess to connect through lately, I've always loved the fact that our smaller airports in Illinois have a direct link to the East Coast. Now, Champaign, my hometown, lost its nonstop link to Charlotte 4 years ago, so I am glad to see Peoria's route still going pretty strong. Now, today we're flying on a CRJ-200, and if there's one thing you should know about this plane, it's good luck trying to bring your roller bag on board because it's not happening. The CRJ-200 and Embraer 145, to be fair, both have tiny overhead bins that can't fit bags larger than a backpack really, so the gate agents always have passengers gate check any carry-on suitcases so that they go straight into the cargo hold. You'll receive tiny slips of paper to confirm that you've checked the bags, and once you get off the aircraft, you'll wait in the jetway for them to be returned. Now, waiting in the jet bridge in Chicago was not a realistic option for me anymore because my 1-hour connection was already down to a matter of minutes. Therefore, I elected to have both mine and my sister's roller bags be gate checked all the way through to Albany, my final destination, so they would just be transferred to the next flight without me having to worry about collecting them. Now, United Express currently operates 4 daily flights between Chicago and Peoria. 2 of them are scheduled pretty close, our original 3 p.m. flight and then a 4 p.m. Embraer 175. Because of our CRJ-200's delay, it took off with the 4 p.m. flight right behind it. It was just a wacky afternoon, but pretty entertaining for me because this is the first time that I've ever seen a regional airport this busy. And even though this American Eagle CRJ-900 looks like it's departing back to Charlotte with no issues, this plane ended up sitting on the taxiway for almost 2 hours before going back to the gate for an unknown reason, and then eventually departing with a 3-hour delay. It was pretty cool to see 3 planes lined up one after the other into Peoria, all of which were arriving from Chicago. The American Eagle flight landed first, operated by CRJ-700. It's kind of crazy how my last time flying into Peoria was a year ago on an American CRJ-200. Since then, that aircraft type no longer flies under American Eagle as Air Wisconsin's contract expired. Finally, our CRJ-200 pulled in, and like most CRJ-200s in the US, this one has bounced around multiple regional operators, flying in both Delta Connection and United Express colors. And as soon as everybody got off the inbound flight, the gate agents rushed all of us on board given we were already late. And an unexpected perk of gate checking our luggage meant we got upgraded from Group 3 to Group 2 boarding, not that it really mattered on this plane. Now the CRJ-200 is the same as I've shown before, 50 seats in a 2-2 configuration, and the seats themselves are decent with good legroom and also lots of room underneath to store your bags.
We're trying to get the body seat as quickly as possible so we can get airborne. All your carry-on items must be either placed in the overhead bins or securely placed underneath the seat in front of you. They cannot go over your feet, around your feet, or under your feet, and your feet cannot be resting on these carry-on items either.
Just barely visible through the rain is the 4 p.m. E175 from Chicago, which wasn't able to park because at this time there's only enough staff to work one United flight at a time. But this tiny plane doesn't need much time to get turned around, so soon enough we were pushing back and getting out of Peoria. The flight was short and uneventful, pretty much flying through some rain for the most part until descent. No service as expected, but also I just want to highlight that yes, the CRJ-200 is not the most loved aircraft out there, and there are parts of it that are annoying, like the low windows, for example. But I don't think it's a terrible plane to fly. It gets the job done, and the seats are fine. At least for this 30-minute flight, they were perfectly bearable. And soon enough, it was time for descent into Chicago. Our approach brought us over Aurora and Chicago's western suburbs before coming in for landing on runway 9 center. ticket price was $328 round trip. Comparably, a round trip ticket from Chicago to Albany at the same time was around $250. However, in the week that I would have been gone, the parking fees would have totaled over $100. So in the grand scheme of things, Peoria ended up being cheaper with costs like parking and gas considered, and these are factors I always take into account when choosing where to fly from. Well, here we are in Terminal 2 and now rushing over to Terminal 1 as my connecting flight has started boarding. We're going to pick up from here in the next one, so until then, take care everybody, and see you soon.